What's up, everybody? As I'm starting this video, before I start my videos, I like to sometimes come up with a name beforehand, but this one I really don't know what it's going to be titled. I just know that this is going to be a really personal, video, and I'm sitting here with a pretty heavy heart. I'm repping my hometown. Those of you who don't know, I'm from Haynes Lake, because that's where my heart is right now. And so yeah, I guess I will just get into it. So when I was 18, and when I was 18, I was like a year out of I was in a relationship that was like, he was a really good guy, but he was really abusive. Like, he would get mad. He was just really abusive. He didn't know how to handle his anger. I didn't realize this is the second person who I didn't know grew up with domestic violence within the home, and so that's a learned behavior he had, and then he exhibited, and I'm actually really thankful, because for him, after our relationship, he went through some things and he never actually continued the cycle of abuse. He was able to break the cycle of abuse, so I was really happy. And he, like I said, the guy had a really good heart, and so it wasn't like this relationship that I'm about to tell you guys about. It was nothing like it. It was really actually full of love, just also learning about bad behaviors that we were taught early on, and trying to break those cycles. That is something that we both did in this relationship. So after, and this relationship, we both never really thought it would end. We really were in love, and so yeah, he's a good guy. He really is a great guy. But about a year after this relationship ended, I had really fun being single, because we were together all the time. You could call it kind of a controlling relationship, but we just were together all the time. So I spent about a year single, and then I met this guy. I used to be this type of person that, like, all the girls, I didn't have like a lot of girlfriends, but the girls that I did hang out with, they would all be into this one guy, and I would be like, I'm not into that. I'm into someone else. I didn't like to do what everyone else, like, everyone loved pizza. I didn't eat pizza till I was like 26 years old, because I was like 21 when I got really into pizza, but everyone was so into pizza, and I was like, well, I hate it. If you all love it, I hate it. I didn't want to be like everybody else, so I would always kind of find myself attracted to the guys that were different than everybody else, and I didn't know at the time that different, meant crazy. So yeah, I met this guy, and we seemed to hit it off. He had these were red flags, you guys. I was young. I was 17, turning 18. I was young. I didn't understand life how I do now, I didn't know so much that I know now. But we hit it off. He had just got out of jail because he broke into a veterinary's office to steal ketamine, I guess, to like, the rumor was he was gonna like kill someone with it. I don't know. FYI, this is going to be a very it's going to be a pretty, I don't know if I'd use the word graphic, but graphic video, because it's real life, like, crazy stuff. So yeah, that that should have been a red flag, but I never thought I would, be attracted or intimate with him. But he was, I guess, I don't even remember if he was a good guy because everything he did was so bad. Like, it got so bad so quick. When I used to fall in love or get into a relationship, I fell in love hard and fast. I was so just dedicated and loyal that no matter what the person did, I didn't ever want to give up on them because I wanted to be there and help them get through anything that they were going through, even if they were abusive or anything like this. So, yeah, we ended up moving in together pretty quickly. I'll be honest, I hated my home life. I hated, I love you, mama, now, but I really battled out with my mom a lot, and so I left home very early. I moved out the first time when I was 15, and then I went back, and then I left again when I was 17. So I was off on my own, and I definitely paid for it. But, we were doing, at first he was sober, like he didn't drink or really do anything, so he was pretty normal, and he seemed to be like an okay person. But after getting into our own place, that kind of quickly changed. I would work with him. His dad owned a Little Debbie distributing company, and so he would go distribute Little Debbie's. We would get up at like 4 a.m., go load up this huge truck, and then go deliver to like 30 different stores. It was okay, I guess. It was like a lot of work though, and really exhausting because it was like 4 a.m. But it was actually a decent job financially, so as far as everything, having what you want or need, like those type of things were pretty much taken care of. But when we were on our own and he started drinking again and I brought my dog into the picture, I realized very quickly that something was very wrong with this guy. And I didn't know, like, at the time, I just didn't know, And I also didn't want to go home, so I really paid the highest consequence for me being, I guess, selfish, like not wanting to go home. Like I said, he ended up murdering my dog. This was, into the relationship. And right after this, when I started pretty hard into benzodiazepines, things like Xanax or Valium or, things of Klonopin, things of that nature, because I couldn't sleep or I couldn't really think or feel. I just would cry every day. So he would get them for me and I would just check out, and by this time he was already hard into like drugs, like things that I never had even seen people do, he was doing. And so, we didn't even talk at this point. We just existed in the same space, and there was other people that lived in this house with us, so it wasn't just me and him. There was a lot of people, and no one would stand up to him because he was so crazy. I mean, this guy's eyes would turn red. I never seen anything like this. Like literally his eyes would turn red, like he was possessed by something insane. And I mean, he would beat up his friends. He would beat up anyone who tried to stop him from doing what he was doing. And that's why I always got beat up, because I would be the only one that would rush in and try to get in between him and his victim. Everyone else just kind of would watch or sit watching TV, even though they could hear screaming. Like, for me, if something bad is happening, I'm going to stop it. And so all of his anger would be turned on to me, which I would much rather have that. But, he did some really crazy stuff. I don't know if I should get into detail on that. Maybe a different time. I don't know. But he did some crazy stuff. Like one time he stuck his thumbs down my throat, made my tonsils bleed. Just like really weird stuff that, like the first really abusive one, he would just like punch me in the arm or punch me in the leg or like slap me. Like, I say that smiling, it's not funny. Like, none of this stuff is funny, but to like talk about really crazy stuff that happens to you, you kind of have to like have this light sense of heart because it's so traumatic and really emotional. I'll get into this maybe because I think through my abusive relationships I'll be able to help other people going through this type of stuff, but this isn't what this video is about. So he had a little brother though, and this little brother looked up to him so much. See, this guy was like actually a lot older than me, but his little brother was my age, and his little brother looked up to him so much, wanted to be just like him, was heavy into the drugs too because, you know, that's what his big brother did, so he did that too. And, you know, his big brother would beat him up. It was just really crazy. So, like a day or 2 days after my puppy disappeared, I got her father back from my ex. He pretty much called me, said, hey, Colin is my dog's name, is in the animal shelter. He is just been neutered. He's incorrigible. No one wants to adopt him because he's so vicious. And I was like, what? Why didn't you tell me, you know? He's like, I don't know. I just need you to go pick him up from the vet and take him back to this shelter. And I was like, I can't do that. So I went and picked him up and brought him home. And it was like the worst and the best thing I ever did because all of this guy's focus went to this dog, and he was jealous that I loved these dogs more than him. And of course, why wouldn't I? He was crazy. My dogs were my dogs. So he just was so jealous. And so his little brother moved in with us, and he would see what he was doing. Like, he never did like beat me up in front of him, but you know, he had an idea. I didn't know that they were raised around people who killed their dogs. Like, they beat their dogs. They really hurt their dogs. So I didn't know that was like a normal thing to him, but his little brother did. And I remember just being like, you know, to his brother, take my dog, just take my dog with you, take him out of here, because if he's here, he will get aggressive with him. I can handle it, but I don't want anything to happen to this dog. And so he did, you know. He fell in love with Colin, and they were like the best of friends. And I ended up leaving. I ended up going back home. My niece was just born, and I mean, I remember looking back on pictures. I had black eye, I had bruises all over my neck, and I'm sleeping with my niece. And I couldn't take my dog because he was child aggressive, so I couldn't have him around the baby. So he stayed with the little brother, and the little brother would call me every day and be like, he's good, you know, my older brother hasn't touched him. And so it wasn't about the dog, it was about what the dog represented, which was something I loved more than him. So as soon as, you know, that ended, he didn't want anything to do with my dog. So but yeah, it wasn't long after until the older brother went to prison. He was found in the Little Debbie vehicle, passed out with a bunch of drugs and stuff he wasn't allowed to have because he was already on felony probation. So he ends up going to prison, and me and the little brother would talk, and eventually, you know, I started going back over there to see my dog, and eventually I got my dog back. But me, and this is gonna sound really weird, but you guys had to understand, like, if you were there, if you were like me in that moment, it would have made perfect sense, you know. Me and the little brother could bond over the abuse we both suffered at the hands of this guy, you know, because he beat up on both of us. And so, you know, we just really connected over that. And also, he was into pain pills, like opiates. And so I would go over there, and I was still in so much pain. I had got sober for a little while. I had a friend that came to me and was like, hey, you're not the same. Like, you can't even remember what happened yesterday. You gotta get off of this stuff. You gotta quit. And so I went home. I got sober for like 2 months, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I started going over to see my dog, and that's when I started doing like opiates, like pain pills. And if you guys just knew what I was dealing with, you would understand. Like, I needed it to just stop the mind, the pain, the grief. Had I not honestly started doing them, I probably would have ended up committing suicide, to be honest with you, because I couldn't handle the pain of what had happened in that home. And so together, you know, we had this like really attraction together, and we started dating, and me and the little brother, and it was really nice. It was a really good relationship. He was a really amazing person, nothing like his older brother. Had so much heart, had so much depth of soul. But we did, you know, we were both heavily addicted to drugs together. And what happened next, this story is leading into something, just so you guys know. I'm not just sharing this for no good reason. What happened next was when no one wanted to tell the older brother that me and him were seeing each other, because he would have went crazy. So when he got out of prison, we had to break up. We had to, you know, it wasn't even a question. Like, we had to go our separate ways. So I took my dog and I went my own way, and he ended up moving down to Lansing and getting into some hard stuff and just having a really hard time, because we didn't want to break up. We really loved each other. And I don't know exactly what happened, how it happened, but we ended up back together. A lot of time had gone by, another year, and eventually somehow the older brother found out, and so after he found out, we were able to have a relationship again. So, you know, we moved in together, and we're living life, and still both heavily addicted to drugs. While we were separated, I ended up, you know, I was doing a lot, and I was drinking on top of it, and I ended up crashing my car, almost killing myself. So I tried to put myself into counseling, and it went okay, but I wasn't ready, I guess, yet. And so when we got back together, you know, we were still hard into everything, and I don't know, it got weird, you know. I started to like really want to be sober. I don't know if he did or not, but I started to like see his older brother in him, like the way he looked and sometimes the way he would act. He wasn't ever violent or mean or anything, but it was just like mannerisms, and it was just like living my nightmares over again. So it was really hard, because I ended up making the decision to leave, and I told him it was because we would never get sober together. You know, we would both be drug addicts for the rest of our lives together, because we were so heavy into it together. And so it really hurt him, man. He hated me so much. He hated me so much for this. And I left him with my car. I left him in the house. I left my dog with him and everything, just to kind of help. I moved to Detroit with my aunt. I started going to church, which is, you know, you guys check out one of my videos. I ended up getting kicked out of church because of the pastor's son, but that's a whole nother story in itself. But yeah, I didn't end up getting sober there. It took time. It took dark days, but needless to say, I had to end that relationship, and it was really hard because we both really did love each other. So with that said, time goes by. I got sober. I saw him when I got sober, and he has a lot of trauma in his blood. He was trying really hard, but it wasn't always working for him. You know, he would do good and then relapse, and then do good and then relapse. And it's so sad, because he was a good person. He wasn't a bad person like his brother. His brother was not a good person. I mean, his brother was really mean, really mean. This one time at a party, this guy accidentally stumbled into me. Like, I was sitting in a chair, and this guy stumbled into me, and the older brother took him, threw him down, and stomped on his face. And I was just like, I was mortified. I'd never seen that kind of violence. I had never witnessed violence like that, ever. You know, I watched my mom get beat up like really bad. I watched her get her nose broke with you know, she got thrown off stairs, she got hit in the face with weapons. Like, I watched my mom get pretty beat up, so, but I never saw violence like this guy. And I'll get more into this in a different video, you know, because like I said, I think abusive relationships is something that a lot of people maybe need to hear. It's not like I think I'm special, it's just I realized something and I was able to get out of it, break cycles from the past. So, but either way, this video isn't about any of that, and I'm already 20 minutes into this, and it's just like, I'm not trying to talk forever, but I really had to give that backstory to lead up to what I'm about to tell you guys. Recently I was on social media and I came across his page, and the little brother, the older brother is in prison, has been in prison for making meth, like having a meth lab pretty much. He needs to stay in prison, like no joke. Prison is the best place for him, because he just would have kept doing it, you know. After me, he was with another girl. They got a dog. I begged her. I said, please get rid of that dog. Don't keep that dog. Don't keep that dog. He's gonna kill it. Wasn't long before that dog ended up dead. And I wish, he's the one person I wish I would have called the cops on. He's the one person I wish I would have put in jail for everything he did, because he deserved it. He's not someone that should be out on the streets. He's really not. He cannot control himself at all. He just can't. So anyway, with that said, I came across the little brother's profile, and he just had a baby a month ago. He just had a sweet little girl. He started his own tree service. I thought he was sober. I thought he was doing good. Some people were writing today, you know, they're sick of drug dealers, blah blah blah. And yeah, drug dealers suck. But it's not the drug dealers that are the ones buying the drugs. They're just the one providing them. It's both bad. But, I mean, it all needs to end. But yeah. I messaged and I said, what happened? You know, because everyone was riled up, like, so mad. And I was like, something big must have happened, because for everyone to get this mad when usually no one cares. So a friend of mine messaged me and said, hey, did you hear? And I was like, no, what? And he said, little brother overdosed. Little brother overdosed yesterday on January 3rd, which is ironically his older brother's birthday. And I get chills just talking about it, because, man, I will try really hard not to get emotional, but I mean, he's alive, but like, I guess his brain, he only has like 10% of his brain left, and his heart isn't doing good. I don't know what he was thinking. I really wish I could have been there. I feel like I know, like, I think he felt guilty that his brother's in prison, and he wanted to celebrate on behalf of his brother because they had that, you know, sick relationship, and he got a bad batch, you know. They're cutting stuff. I got out. Thank goodness I quit right when everyone started dying. Everyone started dying because they were putting carfentanil, which is the elephant tranquilizer, in the stuff, and it was killing people like flies. I don't know if you guys remember years ago when the epidemic started, but so many people died. So many people overdosed. And it got a little better, but it's still like, you cannot get anything. Just don't even try. And God, I don't know. I've been having like a hard time with this today, because he just had a little girl, and that little girl needs him. She needs her dad. And I feel, I'm praying that he will fight. He will fight. I think he's fighting, and that's why he's not dead yet. And I have a feeling he will pull through, but I don't know. Everyone says it doesn't look good. it doesn't look good. And you know, this is why our relationship, like why he hated me. He called me one day when I was in Detroit and he said, hey, my big brother overdosed, is in the hospital holding on for his life. And I said, he deserves it. I hope he goes. And he was very upset because he loved his brother. And man, I just thought of this, and now he's in the same position fighting for his life. Oh. Undecided. I'm not getting any answers. I can do yes or no with my tarot, and so I just ask questions. Am I from Higgins Lake? Yes. It's weird. It's weird. Yes or no with this is weird. But I just asked and undecided. I'm not even gonna ask again because maybe it's not up to me to know. I just will it to happen. I'm willing. I'm putting all my energy, all my love, all my light to him right now to heal his body. And so he comes back. There's an ancient technique that my spirit mother taught me, and I'm gonna do with you guys, and you guys can do it with me. You think of all the joy, you think of joy and good things and just happy energy and love and healing, and you let that feeling fill up until you can't hold it in anymore. And then you say the name of somebody and all the energy just pours out of you to that person. And I don't want to say his name on here. So I guess you guys can't do that with me, but I don't know, just send prayers, something. Drugs, man. I don't know, I may stop this and do another video because I don't want to get too much into this because I have a lot to say on the topic of drugs, but I'm already 30 minutes in, and it's like this, what I'm about to say is probably the most important part. So I don't know if you guys want to stay tuned for the next video. It will be right after this. I don't know. If you do watch it, thank you. If any of you listen to this, I'm sorry that it was so detailed and that, you know, I don't really like telling people about this type of stuff. So, I don't know. But thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. But other than that, have a good night. I hope you all are well and safe and home, and be grateful for what you got, you know.